I'm marrying a rich doctor. So you, old hag, take care of the twins, Jessica says with a mocking laugh. The man standing next to her also sports an unpleasant grin. There's no way I'm leaving my precious two in the care of such people. Really? I'd be delighted. If they're willing to leave them with me, I'm more than happy to look after them. That's what I thought as I responded with a smile. But on one condition, never show your faces in front of me or the kids again. Sure, that's fine. I have no interest in those kids. Jessica laughs as she walks out. As I glare at her back, the twins run over to me. Can we stay here? Yes, you can. From today, you'll live with Grandma. Yeah. We want to live with Grandma. How could anyone not want these adorable twins? I hug them tightly, swearing to make them happy no matter what. And just like that, 15 years fly by. A person comes to visit me, now living a quiet, retired life. Hey! Give me back my twins! I'm Susan, a 60-year-old housewife who works at a factory. I have a son, Robert, and my husband, James, who passed away a few years ago. My husband's family has been running the factory for generations, and it was there that I met him. He approached me while I was working hard, and we quickly fell in love. After a few years of dating, we got married. And had Robert. I'm gonna take over Dad's factory when I grow up. That's my dream, so I want to learn everything I can. I think Robert inherited James's kindness and my seriousness, and though I'm his parent, I believe he turned out to be an excellent child. Having been around the factory since he was young, Robert was adored by everyone there. I want to work at the factory after I graduate middle school. What? What are you saying? Perhaps because of this, Robert looked up to everyone at the factory, even saying at one point, I want to work right after middle school. However, our factory is large and has contracts with many major companies, so we're well off. And Robert is smart enough to aim for a prestigious university. As his parents, we hoped he would go to college. We think you should go to college since you have the chance. No, I want to start working at the factory as soon as possible. No matter how much we tried to persuade him, Robert's mind was made up. It was quite the dilemma. The one who convinced Robert for us was Robert, you should go to college. David, who joined our factory after graduating high school. He's close in age to Robert, and they spend a lot of time together. You need to learn things I can't teach to make this factory even bigger. With your hands, I want the name of this factory to resound overseas. It was because of David's words that Robert listened well. And then, he successfully went on to university. Studying business in college, Robert used that knowledge to secure new contracts and further expand the factory's performance. I believed we could all continue to manage the factory together and live happily. But then, James suddenly fell ill. James collapsed at the factory and never regained consciousness, passing away. From now on, I'll protect both the factory and Mom. Amidst everyone's grief, Robert, who had grown up, supported me and managed the factory well. Now, Robert is married and is the father of twins, Nancy and Lisa. Grandma, we came to visit. You both came at the right time. Make yourselves at home. Both twins are adorable. Nancy, the elder, is serious, and Lisa, the younger, is kind. They both love me and hug me every time they visit. Their cuteness makes me forget about losing James. Mom, how long do you plan to work? As long as I can. I don't want to be a burden to you in the future. So, I'm still actively working at the factory. Thanks to that, I've been leading a fulfilling life. It's nice to take it easy once in a while. One holiday. When the factory was closed, I was about to enjoy some reading. Who could that be? Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting any visitors, so I checked the camera to see who it was with a puzzled look. Nancy? Lisa? It was the twins. Surprised, I immediately opened the front door and welcomed them into the house. What's the matter, you two? Where's Mom? Looking around, there's no sign of any adults. Could it be that 5-year-old kids came here by themselves? With that thought, I asked the twins. Mom said, go to Grandma's house today. She said she's too busy to take care of us. After hearing more about it, it seems Jessica, the twins' mom and Robert's wife, had told them to go to my house and locked them out. It's been snowing since morning, and it's very cold outside. Even though it's within walking distance, to let children walk alone like this. You must be cold, right? I'll make you some warm cocoa. Yay! We love cocoa. Thank you, Grandma. While serving the twins warm drinks, I tried calling Jessica, but she doesn't seem to answer at all. So, I decided to contact Robert. What? Nancy and Lisa are there. Robert immediately answered, and when I explained the situation, he was very surprised. Robert has been on a business trip since last week and is not currently at home. He's supposed to return today, but even if he hurries, it'll be night. I'd rush over right now, but I'm still on a business trip and it seems impossible. I'm sorry, but could you look after them until I get there? Yes, of course, that's fine. I quickly agreed to Robert's apologetic request. Originally, I had no plans for today. Yet it turned into a day spent with the adorable twins. And that made me happier. Thanks. Then, I'm counting on you. I'll try to contact Jessica myself, Robert said before hanging up the phone. I felt a gaze and turned around to see the twins looking at me with a bit of unease. Let's play together until Dad comes. Can you tell me what games you like? Yay. We're happy to play with Grandma. We want to play video games. For a while, we played video games with the twins. Then, I got a message from Robert. It seems like her mobile phone is turned off, and I can't get in touch with Jessica either. I see. Don't worry, I'll take good care of the twins. Take your time and don't rush. That's a huge relief. Thanks, Mom. After hanging up, I sighed. What could Jessica be doing? It might be good to contact her parents at times like this, but, according to Robert, Jessica has had a falling out with her family. So, they hardly ever communicate. I doubt her family would know anything. Hey, do you know what Mom does usually? Did she tell you anything? Not coming up with a better idea, I decided to ask the twins. Mom isn't interested in us. There's someone more important to her. A bad feeling crept over me. Could she be having an affair? Maybe it's time to look into it. While thinking about this, I made sure to keep the twins from worrying. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate you looking after them. Ah, Dad's here. Dad, welcome back. A few hours later, Robert arrived. Seeing their dad, the twins happily ran to him. Welcoming a tired Robert, I felt comforted by the sight. Did you manage to get in touch with Jessica? No, not yet. Actually, I've been thinking about the future. Robert spoke with a heavy heart. Depending on Jessica's response, the twins and I might have to stay with you. When that time comes, feel free to come back here. I readily agreed to Robert's words. Seeing his expression soften slightly gave me some relief. But anger towards Jessica, who was pushing Robert to this point, bubbled up inside me. A few more hours passed, and it was fully night when the doorbell rang. I came to pick up the twins. There stood Jessica, toying with her dyed hair, not bothering to hide her annoyance. Before I could react, Jessica, what have you been doing all this time? An angry Robert confronted her. Jessica, not expecting Robert, was taken aback. Why is Robert here? Just answer. I was called out by some mom friends, and I was with them. Jessica answered reluctantly under Robert's questioning. Then why didn't you contact us? My mobile phone died. Jessica made excuses, facing Robert's interrogation. Robert sighed deeply. Sorry for the trouble. Let's go home. Robert apologized to me. No. And so, they returned home, the twins visibly dissatisfied. The next day. Well, this is unusual. I was a little surprised when I received a call from Jessica and answered the phone. Listen, Susan. Because you had to meddle, Robert scolded me. What? If you had just kept quiet and taken care of the twins, there wouldn't have been any problem. Before I could even get a word in, Jessica began complaining. I was taken aback for a moment, but then retorted. First of all, it was wrong of you to lock out the twins, wasn't it? And you should have at least informed me beforehand. If I hadn't been home by chance, the kids might have been freezing under the cold sky. What? Are you talking back? This is why I can't stand old ladies. With those words, Jessica hung up the phone. What on earth is she thinking? I sighed in irritation at Jessica's attitude. Then, the phone rang again, and this time it was David calling. Actually, I went on a trip and I'd like to give you a souvenir. Are you free later? How nice of you. I have time, so please feel free to come over. David has always treated me like his own mom. He started working at our factory after his parents died in a car accident when he was in high school. Since his parents were work colleagues, I've always looked after David in one way or another. It seems Robert also treats David like a brother. Sorry to bother you, but Susan, you look tired. What happened? David asked with concern when he arrived at my house. Yes, a little. Would you mind listening to me? Of course. So, I ended up venting to David. David listened to my story, nodding along thoughtfully. That's concerning. After hearing me out, David murmured thoughtfully, showing signs of pondering. I have a detective acquaintance. I'll ask if they can look into it. Really? That would be great. It's okay. To me, you're like a mom, and Robert is like a brother. The twins are like nieces. I'd do anything for my family, David said with a smile, which made me feel somehow reassured. A few days after that conversation, Mom, could you look after the twins next Saturday? Robert asked if I could take care of the twins. He sounded tense, but I agreed to his request. And on the day, I was greeted by Robert, who seemed to have made a decision, and the twins, sleepy from the early morning. Robert, what's wrong? Did something happen? I couldn't help but ask. I'll tell you when I get back. Be good, okay? Robert smiled at the twins and then left. We watched him go, believing he would return today. Dad's gone. Will he come back soon? Yes, he'll be back soon. However, Robert never returned to this house again. What? No, that can't be true. Are you sure that's Robert? Robert had an accident in a hot spring town and passed away. From there, life was tough. Please, say it's not true. Dad. Wake up, Dad. Having lost his son and the twins their father, all we could do was cry, clinging to Robert's cold body. Why, leaving behind such adorable daughters, it's too soon. David supported us during this time and took care of various procedures. People from the factory rushed over to console our family, but what is his wife doing? Her husband just died suddenly. Jessica was nowhere to be seen during all this. Even after the funeral, she didn't contact us at all and vanished. Maybe it's better she's not here. I felt outraged by Jessica's actions. But if she's gone, there's no need to get irritated by her disrespectful behavior. That's what I thought as I took care of the crying twins, unable to recover. Who could that be? A little while later, when things had finally calmed down, the doorbell rang, and it was Jessica on the camera. Jessica! Where have you been? Oh, hello. Long time no see. I opened the door, angry, to find Jessica and a frivolous-looking man standing there. And then, I had a bad feeling this was the case. I thought, but instead of anger, I became calm. What do you want now? And how dare you show your face here? Wow, scary. Oh, this is my boyfriend, Thomas. He's a wealthy doctor. Jessica was unaffected by my cold attitude, boasting about the man with a vulgar smile. Were you cheating on Robert? It's not cheating. Thomas is my true love. Jessica laughed with Thomas, joining in her mockery. So, I have a favor to ask of Susan today. What is it? The twins will get in the way of my remarriage, so I don't want them. Can you take them? I was furious at Jessica's words. What did Jessica just say? Did she say she doesn't want her own daughters? That thought silenced me. And then, I'm marrying a rich doctor. So you, old hag, take care of the twins, Jessica said, laughing mockingly at me. Thomas also wore an unpleasant grin. There's no way I could leave the adorable two with such people. Really? I'd be delighted. If they're willing to leave them with me, I'm more than happy to take care of them, I thought as I responded with a smile. But on one condition, never show your faces in front of me or the kids again. Sure, that's fine. I have no interest in those kids. Jessica laughed as she walked away. As I glared at her back, the twins ran over to me. Can we stay here? Yes, you can. From today, you'll live with Grandma. Yeah. We want to live with Grandma. How could anyone not want these adorable twins? While hugging the two of them, I vowed to make them happy no matter what. Grandma will be home early today. We'll make dinner, so just wait for us. All right, I understand. Then, in the blink of an eye, 15 years passed. Now retired, I cheerfully see off the twins as they head out. Since then, we've completely recovered and have been living our normal daily lives. So, what shall I do today? Just as I was enjoying a peaceful retired life, a person arrived. I was taking it easy in my old age, not overexerting myself. When the doorbell rang. Who could it be? Open up. The two are in there, aren't they? I asked the visitor through the camera, but the person just shouted without answering. It seemed to be a woman, but she looked unfamiliar. As I wondered who she could be. Hey! Give me back my twins! Hearing that, I finally realized the woman was Jessica. Jessica had aged and become so haggard over these 15 years that I honestly couldn't recognize her at first. This is too much for me to handle alone. Muttering so, I contacted some people. They arrived within minutes and surrounded Jessica. What are you doing here now? The first to express anger was David. David glared at Jessica with an angry expression. What do you mean what? I've come to take back my daughters. Despite being intimidated by David's fierceness and the number of people gathered, Jessica shouted back defiantly. These children are mine. Give them back to me. Jessica was yelling for a reason. She must have seen them on TV. In fact, the twins had become sought-after figures on TV. Nancy is a popular idol, and Lisa as a talented actress. They were about to co-star soon and had recently been featured as beautiful twins. That must have prompted Jessica's appearance. What happened to that wealthy doctor? I asked Jessica without stepping outside. At that, Jessica twisted her face in ugliness. I dumped that guy long ago. She began to explain the situation without being asked. It turns out, the Thomas she brought that day wasn't a doctor but a con artist. Strictly speaking, it was Thomas's brother who was the actual doctor. That man was after Robert's wealth. The only reason Thomas had approached Jessica was to approach Robert, targeting the wealth of a man who owned a large factory. After Robert's death, Jessica, who received the inheritance, and Thomas, who had swindled money from many women, lived lavishly for a while, but eventually got caught and arrested. Moreover, after discovering Thomas was using his name, his brother disowned him. Having lost everything, Thomas was abandoned, and Jessica shamelessly showed up at this house. These twins were originally my daughters. So, I'm taking them back. There's no way we'd allow that. That's right. We won't let you lay a finger on our beloved daughters. As David shouted, everyone from the factory who had arrived also yelled in agreement. Yes, those twins are precious children raised by all of us at the factory. We have no intention of handing them over to such a woman. There's something I need to tell everyone. The day Jessica abandoned the twins, I made a commitment to raise them, but, considering my age, I asked everyone at the factory for help. What a woman! Truly terrible. Susan, leave it to us. Let's raise the twins together with everyone from the factory. And so, we all came together to raise the twins. We took turns looking after them, playing together, going out. Thanks to everyone's cooperation, the initially withdrawn twins gradually began to open up. We have dreams we want to achieve. We promised Dad, too. We'll definitely make them come true. Eventually, they started talking about their dreams of becoming an idol and an actress. Hearing this, we all learned together by watching TV, accompanied them to singing lessons and acting practice, and supported them wholeheartedly. The only thing I'm grateful to you for is letting go of those two. Thanks to that, the twins were able to achieve their dreams. If they had stayed with Jessica, they might not have been able to fulfill their dreams, or even have grown up healthy. So, you come back now demanding them? Who do you think you are? Shut up! I'm their mom! Those twins have a duty to support me. Hearing those words, everyone here showed expressions of anger. Which mouth is calling herself a mom? That's when it happened. Who's mom? We don't have a hideous mom like you. Such voices were heard. Turning our gaze, we saw the twins with expressions of disgust. Nancy. Lisa. It's been a while, hasn't it? As expected of my children, you've both become so beautiful. Jessica spoke to them with a beaming smile. The twins looked even more displeased. And? Whose mom did you say you were? After treating us like nuisances and locking us out in the cold? After Dad disappeared, you abandoned us? The twins asked with cold voices. Even though they were still young at the time, it seemed they clearly remembered what their mom had done. That was, well, there were circumstances. Jessica stammered in front of them. We remember everything clearly. How you neglected us. How you betrayed Dad. And how you were the cause of Dad's disappearance. Jessica looked very surprised at those words. In fact, Robert had long been aware of Jessica's affair. And on that day, in the hot spring town, where Jessica was on a cheating trip, Robert confronted Jessica. Jessica was making excuses even there. I'll divorce you, and I'll make sure to get a hefty compensation in the divorce settlement. Frustrated with Jessica, Robert tried to leave. But the mention of divorce settlement compensation panicked the two, who tried to grab Robert's arm to stop him. Trying to shake them off, Robert lost his balance, stepped into the road, and was hit by a truck. How do you know about that? The twins knew the truth about what happened 15 years ago. Jessica murmured with a trembling voice. I investigated it. David was the one who answered Jessica. He was the one who desperately investigated to avenge his dear brother. And with persistence, he found a witness and learned the truth. Ideally, this should have been reported to the police. However, by that time, the investigation had been dropped, and there was no evidence, only eyewitness testimony. Besides, we had no intention of getting involved with Jessica and her accomplices any longer. We chose silence. We'll never forgive you, nor do we intend to support you. If you still insist on taking them back, then pay back all the child support. Jessica appeared flustered by those words. Seeing the twins all grown up made us happy. So? What will you do? Or shall we call the police and have them take you away? When the twins pressed her, Jessica exclaimed, Don't be ridiculous! And fled back home. Then, everyone at the factory started applauding the twins. You've grown up so much. Hee hee, well, yes. We'll now properly return all the favors we've received. David showed an almost tearful expression at their words. He had protected and raised the twins like a father in Robert's stead. That's why he was probably as moved as I was. Come on, foster dad. Don't cry, it's embarrassing. I'm not crying yet. Laughter erupted at David's response. A warm and happy scene unfolded. Watching this, I couldn't help but smile. A few days later. By the way, that woman who was screaming I'm the mom got arrested, apparently. I heard too. After trying to approach us, the police finally caught her. Oh dear. The twins shared news about Jessica. After that incident, it turned out Jessica was an accomplice of Thomas and had been arrested by the police. Jessica had made it sound like only Thomas was the con artist, but she had been involved too. They had been engaging in a sort of honey trap operation and were being pursued by the police. That day, because everyone at the factory acted, there were many witnesses. They found her quickly. The incident was reported by someone who had witnessed it that day. Following a thorough investigation, Jessica was sent to prison. She won't be coming out anytime soon. That's good. Now we can focus on filming with peace of mind. Yeah. Make sure you watch it, Grandma. This is Jessica we're talking about. When she's released. I'm the beautiful twins' mom. She might tell people around her. But that will only tighten the noose around her neck. Of course, I'll definitely watch it. After all, it's your grand achievement. What they're currently filming is about their lives. Lost their dad at 5, abandoned by their mom, and raised by the people at their grandmother's factory. From such circumstances, they made it to the top. Therefore, the more Jessica claims, I'm their mom, the more the public will look at her with disdain. It's her responsibility. Let her taste her own hell. That's right. And when it airs, the factory will become even more popular. We'll have to rely on foster dad to keep up. David, who has taken over from Robert, is now running the factory. I'll protect everything. David, still promising to protect us all. Is someone we're planning to thank together, smiling at the thought. After that, the drama that aired was a huge hit. Everyone sympathized with the twins' situation and directed their disdain towards the mom. It seems some extreme fans looked up Jessica and even found out she's in prison. Oh dear. That means nothing but hell awaits Jessica upon her release. No one would be there for Jessica. Thomas, having committed multiple frauds, is facing a long sentence, and it's unlikely he would come for Jessica, who once abandoned him. Regarding Jessica's parents, actually, after that day 15 years ago, we did some digging and confronted them. Jessica's parents had disowned her long ago and knew nothing of her whereabouts. Too wicked, causing trouble for the family and getting disowned. If only she had learned her lesson then. Indeed. With such circumstances, no relatives of Jessica would come to pick her up. Jessica will likely spend her future alone, regretting her actions. It feels like we've finally gotten our revenge, David said, looking relieved, as if a burden had been lifted off his shoulders. David had always acted with our best interest in mind, desperately protecting the factory. That's why the twins hold David in such high regard as a dad. Thank you, really. You've done so much. At my words, David smiled shyly. Actually, Susan, I have something to discuss with you. What is it? I'm thinking of leaving the factory. I wasn't particularly surprised by his words. I had a feeling this was coming, and I had heard he was handing over his responsibilities to a younger person. The twins have achieved their dreams, and I've entrusted the factory to someone reliable. Now, it's time for me to pursue my own dreams. If that's what you've decided, I won't object. Thank you for everything, I said with a smile, and David beamed with happiness. So, first, would you go on a trip with me? It's been my dream to go on a family trip. David smiled like a child. Watching David smile for a few seconds, I also smiled and nodded. If it's a family trip, we have to invite the twins too. Yes. We need to pick a place where both can relax. Sometime later, the four of us went on a trip. When we gave David a surprise gift during the trip, he finally burst into tears, and we all ended up laughing. It's been 15 years since you've been gone. I wonder if you're getting along with Dad over there. I was visiting the graves of James and Robert. It might not be long before I join them, or maybe it's still far in the future. The kids have grown up splendidly, each fulfilling their dreams. Following the drama, Nancy's popularity as an idol skyrocketed even more. She's planning a nationwide tour soon. Lisa received an offer to act in an overseas movie and has flown abroad. Robert, David has avenged you thoroughly. After leaving the factory, David has been enjoying his hobby of traveling. Everyone has seized their dreams. So, don't worry. Just wait leisurely for me to come over there. Saying this, I stood up. What should I do from now on? Until the end of my life, I'll live to the fullest. I believe that's my way of giving back. Right, today's the day I'm supposed to receive a call from Lisa. I need to get back and prepare. Muttering to myself, I started walking. Grandma. Nancy? Aren't you in the middle of your national tour? I was nearby and thought I'd come to see you. Plus, I want to join in on the video call with Lisa, she says, with a wonderful smile. Surely Nancy, and Lisa too, will share the same smile. Fueled by the smiles of these two, I will continue to live on today.